I was out running this morning and discovered this nest of green heron chicks. There's 4 chicks, and saw both parrots. They were both fishing out at a nearby kind of a large pond or a lake or whatever you want to call it. It's actually a drainage lake here in southwest Austin. Took this in early June of 2020, just today. And one of the interesting things I saw was that this is one of the parents. I don't know which one. I'm going to maybe call it the mother here because it's sort of hanging around with the chicks while the other parent is off at the lake fishing. The lake was, the near edge of the lake is maybe 150 feet from this nest. This nest is about 20 feet high off the ground. It's up in a live oak tree, really kind of in a thicket of cedar trees. But here the babies are trying to get to the mom, and they're frankly kind of tormenting her. Each time she gets back on the nest, they want to go after, and I mean, they're really wrestling her there. She's had enough of it and decides that if you guys can't behave, which you obviously can't, then I'm just going to stay out of your way and move on down the branch here. You saw that you could sort of see through their wings there a little bit. They're not really grown in. It was hot today. This was right about noon when I was taking these, and that little flutter there is something that a lot of the birds will do when they're hot. It's kind of, I think it's in a sense fanning the inside of their throat, which is wet, so that they get a bit of evaporative cooling there from that little flutter effect. And several of them were doing it, and they would keep at it. They were actually in direct sunlight there, so they didn't have a good way to get into the shade, though they were big enough that they were getting out on the branches and actually walking around some and moving maybe 3 or 4 feet away from the nest. In just a second here, you'll see a little bit more of a close-up of one of the babies, and get to see them do a kind of a neck stretch here. They can really lengthen that neck when they put their mind to it. And finally here's a close-up of that flutter. As I walked back over to the lake to find the mom, this great blue heron, which is a completely different bird, happened to just fly into the frame, landed out there in the water, and began fishing. And it did the little hiding in plain sight routine here and snuck up on a small fish that looked to me like a perch, or a bram, you might call it. And it seemed, when he's kind of releasing the fish, it seemed that he actually speared it with his lower bill there, and he's able to kill it, but he takes it back into the water, it seems, while it's still somewhat alive. And I don't know if he was protecting it from that grackle over there, didn't want the grackle to swoop in and steal it, or what, but he's actually dropped it there in the water, grabs it again, trying to kind of arrange it to where he can get it aligned properly to be able to swallow it there, and ultimately is able to get it just right here and gulps it on down. And I don't know if it was still flopping on the way down or not, but there were also some other birds around that were quite interesting looking, and the one that we'll see here in just a moment is a small flock of black-bellied whistling ducks. They're called that partly because they have the black belly, but as they fly overhead, you'll often hear them coming, and they're whistling rather than honking or quacking or whatever you would be. There goes our fish. Whatever you would be used to hearing from a duck. And here comes these ducks, and they're in the very same vicinity that great blue heron was. And they could just kind of wander out, and maybe they've been watching him fish and think, looks pretty easy, and we might just see how our luck is today for fishing.